Hi folks, here's the first part of lesson 3. We're going to be talking about POI, which stands for point of intersection. So when we're looking at linear relationships, this is going to look at if you have two lines on the same graph, where do those two lines meet? That's what we're going to be talking about today. So the first example here is just a multiple choice question, just taking a look at this graph. So two clubs, Superfit and Body Plus, offer monthly memberships. The total monthly cost for each gym is represented on the graph below. So we see that up and down we have monthly cost, and across we're looking at number of visits. So if I'm looking at the first line, this Superfit, it starts at 40 and it just goes straight across. So to me, that looks like they just charge you $40 a month no matter what. These are pretty good deals on a gym. And Body Plus, they start much lower. They start only charging $15, see, halfway between the 10 and the 20. But then based on how often you go to the gym, they're going to charge you more money. That's going up and up and up like that. So let's see what would be true here. First one, is Body Plus always cheaper? It is with what they had graphed, but look what happens when I extend it out there. If you go to the gym a lot, then you're going to end up paying more. So that's not going to be true. Superfit is always more expensive. Well, that's kind of the same thing, isn't it? Superfit ends up being a better deal if you go to the gym a lot. Okay, here, Superfit is cheaper if the number of visits is less than 7. Huh. Maybe. Let's look at 7 visits. No, if we go to 7, that's not true. Body Plus is cheaper. That's less money. Body Plus looks at like about 35, 36, and the other one would be more. Body Plus is more expensive if the number of visits is greater than 9. Yeah, here's 9 visits, and Body Plus is just going to get more and more and more expensive. So Body Plus is more than $40 there, and it's just going to keep getting more expensive, whereas Superfit kind of just stays the same. So that one, D, would be the right answer there. So we're going to look at a particular example of this. So Arsena is trying to choose a cell phone plan. She has 2 options. Company A charges $40 per month plus $10 per gigabyte of data. Company B charges $60 per month plus $5 per gigabyte of data. Make a table of values and graph a line for each plan. So here's our summary. So if she chose Company A, $40 per month. So it would cost $40 just for talk and text. She's not getting any data. Maybe the phone's included. That's kind of an expensive plan. If she used 1 gig of data, she would pay $40 plus 10 times 1. So that would be 50. If she used 2 gigabytes of data, she'd pay 60. And so on. Every gigabyte of data is going to be an extra $10 on this plan. If she chose Company B, this is like a Rogers versus Bell. I have no idea which would be which, but the base price is $60 a month. So it's like a much, much more expensive plan, but then she doesn't pay as much per gigabyte of data. So here she pays $65 if she used 1. $60 plus 5 times 2 is 70. 75 and 80. So we could fill in the table. This is very, very similar to what we would have seen in the last unit. Just now we may have two different scenarios to do tables and graphs for. So if we go take these tables and we're going to graph them. I'm just going to double check which. Okay, I want to use the right colors that match up with the next one. So the first one, if she doesn't use any data, she pays $40. If she uses 1 gigabyte, she pays $50. 2, she pays $60. 3 is $70. And 4 is $80. So we're going to draw a straight line as well as I can through that graph. The second company, and I actually should label that, that's company A. The second company, B, starts off charging $60, but goes up more slowly. They're only going up by about $5, by $5 per gigabyte. So their line is going to be starting up higher, but going up more slowly. So that's company B. So what we're going to be interested in this unit is this point here where those two lines cross. And it is really important to try to color code your lines when you're graphing them. Do them in pencil first to make sure they're correct. But once you get them done and you feel confident in your answer, you should go over those in a different color, just because sometimes people look at this and think that this graph that's on top is all one, and this graph that's on the bottom is all another one. But this blue line, if you see it as like blue line and red line, it's easier to tell. So, first question, which plan looks like a better deal? That depends on a lot of stuff, right? If she is going to use no data or almost no data, you would want the red plan, A, because that would be cheaper. If you use a ton of data, if you use 10 gigabytes of data, then you want this blue plan because that's going to be cheaper. So earlier on, the red plan is cheaper, but the more data you use, the blue plan becomes cheaper. And this is important. Would the plans ever be the same cost? And that's the point that we're looking for. So this point here, that's POI. And what that stands for is point of intersection. So I've got that labeled on the next slide. Point of intersection is the point where two lines cross or intersect. So if I wanted to label this point where those two lines cross, I want to give that a point based on the X and Y coordinates. So remember, the first number is how far over you go, and the second number is how far up. So this point is over 4 in the number of gigabytes and up 80 in the price. So POI is 4 and 80. So make sure you have this in your notes, this part here. POI is where the two lines cross. And then this next slide tells you some good information about how you are going to have to summarize what you see on a graph. So it says help Arsema choose. The two plans cost the same for 4 gigabytes of data. That's my point of intersection, where they cross. They cost the same for 4 gigabytes. At 4 gigabytes, they both cost $80. Remember, plan A was the red one and B was the blue one. So let's tell her which one is a better deal. Because you can't just unilaterally say, hey, which of these plans is a better deal? It depends how much data you're going to use. So plan A is a better deal. Remember, better deal means lower price. And that would be back here. Plan A, the red one, is lower down, lower cost if you use less than 4 gigabytes. Plan B is a better deal. Plan B is lower out here for bigger numbers of gigabytes. If you use more than 4 gigabytes. If you use exactly 4, it doesn't really matter because they'll both cost the same. So that's what we're going to be working through in this unit for our linear relationships. We're going to be talking about where two lines cross and how we can interpret that in terms of a real world situation. So you guys have one homework question in the lesson 3 homework that goes through a very, very similar example to this, and that can be completed on the homework sheet.